Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see from the title, we are back with part 2 of this case. And I want to apologize for the delay, but every time I thought I was done, something else was discovered. Anyway, I want to give my sincerest condolences to the victim family and friends. And I also want to state that all the information found in this video is from the trials, the internet, and or social media. Let's get to the video. So Catherine McBenoit, also known as Katie, and Charles Adelson, also known as Charlie, met in 2013 when Katie was working as a receptionist at a dental office called Sophie Dental. Charlie was also working there as a contractor since he was a traveling periodontist. They began to date in the late part of 2013, but Katie states that the relationship isn't serious because Charlie would always state how she should get back together with her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Sigfredo Garcia, also known as Tuto. So the case goes into overdrive on April 19th of 2016 when the FBI started seeing that they named the bump. An FBI agent walks up to Donna Adelson, hands her a press release of the Markel murder, asks for $5,000, and gives her a number where he could be reached. After that, if you're reading the screen, then you know Donna calls Charlie and they discuss what the note says and that it referenced $5,000, which they refer to as a TV. And then Donna also mentions it says something about an ex-girlfriend. So after Charlie speaks with his mom, he calls Katie to tell her what happened to Donna. He states that he's pretty sure the person says her name, Katie, but he needs to meet up with Donna, which he does on April 20th to confirm. Also, Katie and Charlie meet up on April 20th, and if you've been following this case, then you know that they meet at a restaurant called Dolce Vita. What Donna, Katie, Charlie, and Sigfredo Garcia aren't aware of is at this time, all of their phones have been tapped. So at the meetup at Dolce Vita, there is an FBI agent there getting video and audio. Now the audio quality isn't very good because the restaurant is small and Katie and Charlie are talking very lowly. However, they are able to get bits and pieces of the conversation. So because a lot of the information that I'm getting is from Katie's first trial in 2019 as well as her retrial in 2022, I didn't originally see all the phone calls that were happening between Charles and Donna. I do have a suspicion that once Charles goes on trial, we'll get more of that information. However, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. So now what you're beginning to see happen is the circle where Donna calls Charlie and tells him a problem. Charlie then calls Katie. Katie then calls Sigfredo. Sigfredo calls Katie back, and then Katie calls Charlie back, and the circle continues. So ever since the initial bump, Charles has been pressuring Katie to figure it out. He himself is trying to stay removed from it, so he gives Katie the number and tells her, hey, they implicated you, they said your name, so you should figure it out. Katie, in my opinion, isn't really taking it too serious, and this is just my personal opinion. However, because her name is involved, she does decide to tell Sigfredo Garcia, where she guilt trips him, and you can hear it from the phone call on April 21st, into making the phone call. So she gives him the number in hopes that he would take care of it. An important bit of information is the whole time that Katie is telling Charlie that herself and Sigfredo are making the phone calls, neither one of them have actually called the number. What Katie is telling him is that the number isn't answering, it rings a bunch of times, and then no one picks up the phone. So on the 25th of April, the FBI mails a letter to Donna and Harvey Adelson's condo that says something along the lines of, you guys aren't taking it serious because nobody's giving me a call, and Luis Rivera knows he's in trouble, and soon you guys will be too. On the same day, Katie and Charles meet up at his parents' condo, the Icon, I believe it's called, and they go to the pool and they have a conversation. The FBI isn't able to record this particular meetup because they have been using an app called WhatsApp, and it's an encryption app that allows you to send calls and send text messages that the FBI is not able to trace. So on the 26th of April, you see communications from Katie to Sigfredo Garcia, and she's telling him that she needs to talk to him about something else, which is a letter that the FBI has just sent to Donna Adelson's house. Now, she does call Charles again and says that she may have mixed up the numbers, so she wants to get the numbers clarified. And then she gives the number again to Sigfredo Garcia. So to clarify, I'm only saying again because at this point, Katie and Sigfredo are back together and they live in the same house. So this is the only communication that you see where she actually is giving him the number. But she does reference in the call that she wrote down the number for him. And guys, at this point, I do have to apologize. In part 1 of the video between Charles and the FBI agent, I did say that the date was wrong, and that's very much incorrect. The actual 28th date of that phone call is the date that that phone call was made. What leads up to that phone call is on the 28th, the FBI calls the Adelson Institute and they leave a message with a lady named Erica. And it says something along the lines of, again, you guys aren't taking me serious and somebody needs to reach out to me immediately. Erica then calls Donna because Harvey is out of town. And she tells Donna that it may just be a prank call and you could star 67 the number. And then Donna then calls Charlie. Charlie then continues the loop and he calls Katie. But Katie at this point is now frustrated because she's saying that her and Sigfredo have been making these phone calls over and over and nobody is answering the phone. So she then convinces Charlie to make the phone call himself. And that's exactly what he did. And that is the recording that was played at the end of part 1. So I hope you guys are looking at the screen, but this bit of information had my mouth on the floor. The whole time I thought Harvey Adelson did not know what was going on. But come to find out on May 5th of 2016, he was at one of the meetings between Charlie and Donna. So even if he didn't know at the beginning, somebody filled him in along the way. So now all of the parties involved are suspicious. And it seems like this is happening over a long period of time, but all of this is happening just over a month. So this began in April, and it is now May 24th where Sigfredo Garcia decides to go buy burner phones. But also on the 24th, the FBI contact him at his job, and then they go to Katie and his residence to speak with her. Sigfredo, he decides not to cooperate while he's at work, or period, and Katie never answers the door. On the 25th, as you can read if you're looking at the screen, then Sigfredo Garcia is then officially arrested and charged with the murder. So I know I haven't talked about Luis Rivera, also known as Tato, very much in this video. And the reason that happened is because in 2015, Luis Rivera was charged with a federal RICO charge and he was given 12 years in prison. So during all of this that's happening in 2016, he was already serving a prison sentence. So about a week after Sigfredo Garcia is arrested, they go visit Luis Rivera in federal prison and they ask him what additional information he can provide. He further implicates Katie in this murder as the middlewoman, stating that all of this was done because Katie wanted it done for her ex-boyfriend and Sigfredo would do anything because he wanted Katie back. So with his firsthand accounts of the case as well as the police being able to corroborate his story, Tato was able to set himself up for a pretty good deal. He was able to plead guilty to second-degree murder and take the death penalty off the case, where he was only given 19 years to run concurrently with his 12 years that he was already serving, which only gave him an additional 7 years for the Dan Markel case. He was required to testify against Sigfredo as well as Katie, which he did in 2019. So in a 2019 trial, Sigfredo was actually found guilty of first-degree murder and he was given life without the possibility of parole. In 2019 for Katie, she was given a mistrial, which is why she had a retrial in 2022. So let's get into that. So before we get into Katie's retrial, I do want to say that Charles Adelson was picked up on April 21st of 2022 in the murder of Dan Markel. I do not feel like he is going to be the last Adelson family member to be charged with this murder, but I am happy that they are starting to move towards more people that were involved in this case. So we are now finally at the retrial, and for me personally, I don't think a lot changed. The only thing for me that was different was the Dolce Vita recording back in 2016 was enhanced, so they were able to use that video recording, and that's why Charles Adelson is also charged at this point. But a lot of things that hurt her were she didn't remember anything. How are you on trial fighting for your life and you can't recall anything? Then they were able to show that her finances grew and that she wasn't really an employee of the Adelson Institute. She didn't do anything. She did maybe one phone call and that was it, but she was continuously getting money. And then they have the recordings from the 2016 bump sting that shows her talking to Sigfredo, talking to Charlie talking to his mom. So it was a lot of stuff against her in the beginning. So in my personal opinion, I feel like she's guilty. That's just me. Alright guys, real quick before I wrap up the video, I'm going to give you my personal opinion. Everybody involved in this case is guilty, and that's just my personal opinion. Luis Rivera had nothing to lose and or nothing to gain by testifying against Sigfredo and Katie. and Katie by herself. He was already in prison. He's already serving 12 years. So either way, he was going to be in prison. Yes, it may have took the death penalty off the table, but Sigfredo Garcia was at trial with Katie and he didn't get the death penalty. So I don't think that was actually on the table, to be quite honest. I think it was a scare tactic. Katie, I feel like she met a guy who had money, who had prestige, who showed her a different way of life, and she became infatuated. And I feel like on the opposite end, Charleston, somebody that was vulnerable, somebody that he could manipulate, somebody he could throw money at, and she would do what he wanted. And that's exactly what happened. It was a yin and a yang situation. I give you money, you do what I say. I give you money, you ask no questions. I give you money, you figure out what I need for you to get done, because the whole relationship is him throwing money at her. I am very interested in seeing when he goes to trial. If he goes to trial, will he tell on his mother? I'm also interested in seeing if the FBI is going to charge Donna independently with all the new information that has come out. Because in my personal opinion, Katie should have never got a retrial. She should have been charged with Sigfredo Garcia. It was a cut and dry case, and this case just dragged on way too long. That's also my personal opinion. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I love to read your comments. Thank you so much. If you made it to the end of the video, like, share, subscribe, and I'm out.